Okay, so we all think we know the story of the disciples, right? This unified group all on the same page, carrying a message out to the world. But what if behind that story there was another one? A secret history. A story about a bitter power struggle for the very soul of a new faith. Let's dig in.
It really all starts with this one question, and it changes everything. What if the greatest story ever told is missing a chapter? And what if that chapter wasn't just lost to time, but was deliberately torn out, hidden away, and totally rewritten? Because that's pretty much exactly what some of these ancient texts suggest. This wasn't some friendly disagreement. We're talking about a secret battlefield for control, fought in the chaotic days right after the resurrection.
You see, the picture we've always been given is one of perfect harmony, but the reality, it was so much messier. Underneath it all, a deep, fundamental conflict was brewing, and it was all centered around two key people with two completely different visions for the future.
And here they are, our two contenders. On one side, you've got Peter. They call him the Rock. He's the guy who would eventually be chosen to build the institutional church. But on the other side, Mary Magdalene, known as the most trusted student, the one who was chosen to receive the deeper, more mystical teachings. You can already see the problem, right? This was a clash between institutional authority and direct personal revelation.
All of that tension, it was bound to explode. And it did, in this one, single, incredibly dramatic confrontation. A moment that was so decisive, it would literally shape the next 2,000 years.
So here's what lit the fuse. Mary starts to share what she's learned. She reveals these private, mystical teachings given to her by the Savior after the resurrection, teachings that the male disciples had absolutely no clue about. And that act, right there, was a direct challenge to their status and their whole understanding of the hierarchy.
And Peter's reaction, wow, it says it all. You can just feel the jealousy, the doubt, the wounded pride in that question. Did the Savior really speak with a woman apart from us? See, he's not just questioning Mary's story, he's questioning the Savior's judgment. He's trying to make it clear that this knowledge belongs to them, the men.
But hold on, not everyone sided with Peter. Another disciple, Levi, actually steps up and defends her, and this just shows you how deep the divide was. He looks right at Peter and says, "If the Savior made her worthy, who are you to reject her?" And then he just drops this bombshell, saying the Savior loved her more than the rest of them. The battle lines were officially drawn.
So from this one forbidden clash, the entire movement fractured. This wasn't just a little argument. Nope. This was the birth of two totally separate paths, two completely different futures for this new faith.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly. You have Peter's path, the Church of Authority. It's all about institutional power, rules, a rigid hierarchy. Then you have Mary's path, the Church of Awakening. This one's focused on the inner light, on gnosis, which is really just a word for direct personal knowledge of the divine. No middleman required. One path builds a structure from the outside in, the other finds truth from the inside out.
Well, we all know which path won in the end, but the story doesn't stop there, because to make sure its victory was absolute, the institutional church didn't just ignore Mary's path, it launched what you can only really call a smear campaign, one that lasted for centuries.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's kind of mind-blowing. The clash happens around 33 AD, but it's not until 591 AD, we're talking more than 500 years later, that the institution makes its big move to completely erase the alternative. This wasn't some hot-headed reaction. This was a long, patient, and very strategic silencing.
So, how'd they do it? This is the wild part. In a really famous sermon, Pope Gregory the Great officially mashed together Mary Magdalene, the trusted student, the teacher, with a totally separate, unnamed, sinful woman from the Gospels. And just like that, her identity was rewritten. A powerful female spiritual leader was turned into a repentant harlot. It was a narrative that perfectly secured a male-dominated hierarchy for good.
So why does any of this ancient history matter to us now? Well, because this isn't just about one woman's story. It's about how power gets to write the histories that we all inherit.
1,600. Let that number sink in for a second. That's roughly how many years the official smear campaign lasted, until the church finally, quietly corrected the record in 1969. For 16 centuries, the story of the harlot completely replaced the story of the teacher. The scale of that silencing, it's just staggering. And that really leaves us with one final, pretty uncomfortable question, doesn't it?
If this story shows us how easily a respected teacher can be turned into a harlot just to serve an institution's agenda, it really makes you wonder, what other histories have been completely rewritten by the people who won the fight to tell the story?